But I like you, Riri, so you can call me Mephisto.
Zemo in Civil War showed us just how powerful a true mastermind can be. Since then, we haven't seen that kind of genius-level manipulation in the MCU, but he's just one of many, and the MCU has only scratched the surface. Here are a few masterminds we'd love to see next, or more of. 10. Maximus Boltagon. Maximus is the ultimate black sheep relative, the kind you'd love to kick out of every family photo. He's part of the Inhuman royal clan, but being Atalan's resident genius scientist isn't enough for him. What Maximus really wants is the throne that belongs to his older brother, Black Bolt. He's grabbed the crown more than once, only to get booted off it every time by his more honorable siblings, often with help from outside heroes, because taking him down solo is a nightmare. Even with his full-blown madness, Maximus Boltagon is still a top-tier inventor and strategist. Thanks to his inhuman powers, he's a whiz at engineering and genetic biology, whipping up crazy complex gadgets from the simplest parts. Every new device he builds screams creative genius, even if it's usually aimed at causing chaos. Maximus isn't just dangerously smart, he's also got terrifying mental powers. He can mess with the minds of anyone within 20 feet, dulling their thoughts and even taking control of their actions. The catch? He can only control one behavior at a time, whether it's one person or a crowd. If he pushes hard enough, he can even wipe short-term memories. As soon as he stops focusing, though, everyone snaps back to normal. His mind tricks work especially well on the alpha primitives, who are more mentally vulnerable. As for his brain power, Maximus is a genius across the board: engineering, physics, biology, robotics, and even time-related tech. He's built some seriously wild stuff: mind control potions and viruses, hypnotic devices, powerful weapons like his Atmo gun, which causes quakes and generates a force field, and his personal subionic shield. One of his biggest inventions is the Echopacitor, a device that boosts Black Bolt's already devastating voice. But Maximus's most dangerous creation? The Terrigen Bomb. This thing was built to use Black Bolt's voice to spread a weaponized form of Terrigen across the universe. It would have activated inhuman powers in everyone with the right genetics, while wiping out species like mutants. That's just how far Maximus is willing to go for his twisted version of power. One of the best examples of this comes from the Jenkins and Lee run, where you see him flip from totally unhinged to quietly scheming in the blink of an eye. Even when he's acting bonkers, he's often one move ahead of everyone else. Sometimes it even feels like he's just pretending to be mad so people underestimate him. That's what makes him so compelling. His brother Black Bolt is calm, powerful, and a mystery in many ways, but Maximus? He's loud, chaotic, and dangerously predictable, yet still full of surprises. He walks the line between genius and madness, and he knows how to make both work for him. Number 9. Dr. Octopus. When Dr. Octopus first hit the scene, he was this older super genius who could go toe-to-toe with Spider-Man in brains and brawls. Peter was just a high school kid back then and constantly playing catch-up. That gap got even more obvious when Doc Ock actually took over Peter's body and became the superior Spider-Man, easily one of the smartest characters in the Marvel Universe. While running around in Peter's body, Otto pulled off stuff Peter never even thought possible. He built a successful tech company that put him in the same league as Tony Stark, upgraded all of Spidey's gear, and basically showed he was always operating on another level. And it's not like he suddenly got smarter just by being in Peter's body. Otto was already that sharp. After taking over Spider-Man's body, Otto Octavius got full access to Peter's memories, powers, skills, and gear. Even though he eventually wiped Peter's presence from their shared mind and lost the memory link, he still held on to everything else. To prove he was the better mind in charge, he gave the Spidey suit a serious upgrade, adding carbonadium armor to the head and neck, giving it talons on the hands and feet, tweaking the spider symbol to look more intimidating, and even swapping in some Jika Tabby-style split-toed boots. The lenses got an upgrade too, with built-in HUD and tracking systems. On top of that, he still had access to some of his old Doc Ock hideouts and mixed his old tech with Horizon Labs innovations. And the wild part? He didn't need any mental boost to pull this off. This was all just Otto being Otto. That's how next-level smart he really is. Otto didn't just stop at upgrading the Spider-Man suit, he also built a whole army of octopus-themed robots called Octobots. There are two main types. The first ones are small, metal, ball-like bots with 8 legs that Otto can control mentally with a remote. He used them for all sorts of stuff, fighting, completing tasks, or even latching onto people so he could take control of their minds. The second type is way bigger, a giant metallic Octobot built for full-on destruction, like smashing through large buildings. Over time, he also came up with some cool variations. There were the Spider Slayers from the Spider Island storyline, which were repurposed Octobots loaded with a serum to cure people infected by the spider virus. Then there were the Spider Bots, which were tiny red and blue spider-shaped drones. While Otto was in Peter's body, he used them to monitor all of New York, control tech, and run missions remotely. He even made smaller versions called Octoids after designing a fresh set of mechanical tentacles. And eventually, he leveled up into the Superior Octopus, basically a new body that kept Peter's spider powers, but also had brand new tentacles built just for that form. Otto was always innovating, and the stuff he came up with was wild. 8. The Leader. The Leader is basically the perfect opposite of the Hulk. While Hulk is all about brute strength and often seen as this mindless wrecking machine, the Leader is all brains with none of that raw power. The Leader's brain got supercharged after being exposed to gamma-irradiated waste, giving him a level of intelligence way beyond normal human understanding. Just like the Hulk has no real cap on his strength, the Leader has no limit to how smart he can get. He's able to learn any subject, even stuff totally alien to Earth, and his brain is wired for insane memory, pattern recognition, and deep logical thinking. He remembers everything he's seen since his transformation and can crunch numbers and predict outcomes so well it's almost like he can see the future. But for all that brain power, the Leader's not exactly the best villain out there. His ego, impatience, and obsession with taking down the Hulk constantly mess things up. He gets so wrapped up in his own genius and hatred that he jumps the gun, misses key details, and ends up sabotaging his own plans. He even tried, twice, to turn all of humanity into gamma mutants like himself just because he thought it was a brilliant idea. Spoiler, it wasn't. On top of his genius-level intellect, the Leader has also unlocked telepathic and telekinetic powers. He can control people's minds with just a touch, unless they're gamma-powered like Hulk or Abomination, erase memories from multiple people at once, create illusions to hide himself or fool others, and even fire off telekinetic blasts strong enough to knock over a seriously weakened Hulk. When it comes to tech, the Leader is next level. He's a specialist in gamma radiation and has built all kinds of crazy advanced stuff: vehicles, weapons, computers, laser blasters, pulse guns, kinetic gauntlets, you name it. He's also skilled in genetic engineering and using radiation for some truly twisted experiments. One of his biggest inventions is his army of humanoids, synthetic beings that work as his bodyguards, soldiers, and lab assistants. They don't eat, sleep, or speak, and their elastic bodies make them tough to damage. He can make them tiny or absolutely massive, and he usually controls them with his mind, though they can also be programmed for specific tasks. The Leader's tech resume also includes gamma bombs, force fields big enough to cover entire areas, Hulk-proof cages, battle armor, teleporters, android clones, mind control devices for gamma beings like Hulk and Rhino, and even a special humanoid programmed to revive him after death using a Revivo beam. Oh, and let's not forget Omnivac, his sentient computer that runs his massive space station. This guy's got backups for his backups. In the comics, he's done way more than just go toe-to-toe with Hulk. He built a criminal empire, ran an espionage network, and even tried to take over the US government. He's Hulk's ultimate brainy rival, a fellow gamma-irradiated genius whose schemes are just as dangerous as the Hulk's punches. As for the movies, the Leader made a blink-and-you'll-miss-it appearance in The Incredible Hulk and came back in Captain America: Brave New World, but neither really showed how brilliant or dangerous he actually is. For a character this smart, the MCU has barely scratched the surface. He's had way more impact in comics and other media, where his status as one of Marvel's top villains is much clearer. 7. The High Evolutionary. Even though the High Evolutionary made his first MCU appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, he's actually been around in the comics since way back in 1966. Originally a brilliant scientist from 1930s Oxford named Herbert Wyndham, he became totally obsessed with genetics and evolution. That obsession led him to transform himself into the High Evolutionary, a superpowered being who travels the universe and creates new life forms, like his crew of super-evolved animal people called the New Men. Over the years, he's gone up against a bunch of Marvel heavy hitters, from Spider-Man to the X-Men and the Avengers. With his insane intelligence and powerful abilities, he's easily one of Marvel's most dangerous villains, and one of the smartest minds when it comes to genetics. As for the MCU, we've only seen a glimpse of what he can do, but that might change. In an interview from May 2023, VFX artist Miguel Angel Acevedo Montserrat dropped a surprise. In that final escape scene, Drax wasn't carrying just any animal, he was actually carrying the High Evolutionary. Yep, the guy survived, so don't be shocked if he returns, possibly even more powerful than before. 6. Victor Von Doom. Victor Von Doom is basically always locked in a mental battle with Reed Richards. He's fully convinced he's the smartest person on Earth and doesn't shy away from saying he's smarter than Reed. But way back when, Richards pointed out some flaws in Doom's early work, and that moment seriously triggered him. Since then, Doom's been on a personal mission to outdo Reed in every way possible. No question, Doom is a genius, but Reed tends to edge him out when it comes to raw brainpower. Whether it's building tech, coming up with plans, or diving into complex science, Richards usually finds a way to stay ahead. Doom does bring magic into the mix, which definitely helps balance things out when they go head-to-head. But when it's just about pure smarts, Doom is usually chasing Reed's lead. 5. Kang the Conqueror. Nathaniel Richards, also known as Kang the Conqueror, is in a league of his own. While heroes like Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic spend their time dealing with everyday villains and science problems, Kang is waging war across space and time. His battles aren't just physical, they're cosmic. But what makes him truly impressive is that underneath all the fancy tech and armor, he's just a regular human with no superpowers at all. What sets him apart is his insane level of intelligence. Kang uses his mind to bend time and reality to his will. To him, the Marvel Universe is basically a massive 4D chessboard, and he's always thinking several moves ahead. Like that time he tried to take over King Arthur's Camelot using futuristic tech, or when he dressed up as the Scarlet Centurion and tried to defeat the Avengers with an alternate version of themselves. Then there was the moment he tricked Hulk into messing with the past, hoping to stop the Avengers from ever forming. He's also made bets with cosmic beings like the Grand Master that involved stealing Earth's landmarks. Yes, seriously. And don't forget the time he tried to have a kid with the Celestial Madonna so their child could rule the universe. Kang even once kidnapped Archangel's kids and raised them under brutal conditions, only for them to turn on him later. And the weirdest? Kangaroo the Conqueror. Yep, that happened. He teamed up with Spider-Ham in one of the most ridiculous multiverse stories ever. So yeah, Kang's not just a mastermind, he's also one of Marvel's most unpredictable villains. 4. The Maker. The Maker made his debut in Ultimate Fantastic Four #1 back in 2004, and he's basically an evil version of Reed Richards from another dimension. He looks a lot like the Reed we know from Earth 616, but he comes off as younger and way more twisted, with a snarky, cold personality. Just like the original Reed, the Maker has stretchy powers and a super genius level mind. But the accident that gave him his abilities did more than just make him elastic, it changed his biology. His brain functions differently now, so he barely needs sleep, doesn't need to eat, drink, or even breathe. On top of all that, he's often described as having a universe-level intellect, which makes him one of the smartest and most dangerous minds in the Marvel multiverse. 3. Mephisto. Mephisto stands out in the Marvel Universe not just because he looks like a classic demon or rules over a hellish realm, but because of how incredibly smart and manipulative he is. He isn't the kind of villain who just charges into battle. He plays the long game, weaving complex plans to get what he wants. His real weapon is his mind. He's known for making twisted deals and manipulating some of Marvel's strongest heroes. Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, and Spider-Man have all fallen into his traps at some point. One of his most infamous moves was during the One More Day storyline, where he convinced Peter Parker to erase his marriage to Mary Jane, not for power, but just to make Peter suffer. That's how much he enjoys psychological games. Mephisto's intelligence goes beyond strategy. He's also a master of understanding emotions, fears, and desires. He knows how to push people to the edge and twist their choices to benefit his goals. Even when he's up against gods or cosmic beings, he relies more on manipulation and trickery than raw strength. On top of that, Mephisto is immortal and doesn't follow the normal rules of time and space. That gives him a huge advantage. He can see things from a much bigger perspective, noticing patterns and consequences before others can. It's this kind of foresight that makes him such a unique and dangerous enemy. 2. Sinister. There are a lot of unforgettable villains in the X-Men universe, but Mr. Sinister easily ranks near the top. He started off as a brilliant scientist from the Victorian era, and over time, he only got smarter, scary smart. Eventually, his intellect caught the eye of Apocalypse, who boosted his abilities even further. Sinister's big obsession is gene science, things like cloning and mixing mutant DNA to create the perfect combination of powers. His whole mission has been to understand different powers and recreate them, and he's actually pulled it off. That means he can tap into any power he wants, including ones that boost intelligence, which only makes him more dangerous. Back in the 1800s, Essex was already a genius biologist obsessed with Darwin's theories and human evolution. Once Apocalypse transformed him into Mr. Sinister, he became immortal and gained even more brain power. He's now one of the top geneticists in the Marvel world. He can clone mutants, mess with DNA, and even create entirely new people, like Madeline Pryor, a clone of Jean Grey. What really sets Sinister apart is his patience. He doesn't just show up to cause trouble, he plays the long game. He planned the birth of Cable by nudging Cyclops and Jean Grey together, all to fulfill a prophecy he believed in. He even makes backup versions of himself in case things go south. 1. Shadow King. The Shadow King is one of Marvel's most mysterious and terrifying villains, and honestly, we don't even know for sure what he is. He might not be a person at all, but more of a cosmic force that's been around since the first nightmare was ever dreamed. That's right. His origin story suggests he was born from pure negative psychic energy in the collective unconscious, which basically makes him older than humanity itself. While Apocalypse is often called the first mutant, the Shadow King might actually predate him and even surpass him in raw psychic power. Since the early days of human history, the Shadow King has jumped from one host to another, feeding off people's darkest thoughts and growing stronger with each possession. One of his most infamous hosts was the Egyptian mutant Amal Farouk, whose body he used through some of the most brutal eras in modern history, perfect feeding grounds for a being who thrives on fear, anger, and hate. Well, that's it for today. Who do you think is the smartest villain in Marvel? And which of these masterminds do you want to see in the MCU next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update on your favorite characters, upcoming movies, and all things Marvel. We'll catch you in the next one.